Now, I want to play a montage for you on this pathetic program on MSLSD, the Morning Schmo and Mrs. Schmo. You're going to hear Mika, but you're also going to hear a never-Trumper, who probably denies he's a never-Trumper, John Podhoretz. You're going to hear him a couple of times. You'll also hear Steve Ratner, Susan Del Percio, whoever the hell that is, John Heilman. Heilman. Anyway, and I want you to listen to this because it is really appalling what takes place on this so-called network. Cut 5, go.
But I do know in my heart that President Trump bears a lot of responsibility for rhetoric that made it almost inevitable that top Democrats in the media would be targeted.
This is an unusual set of circumstances.
Go ahead.
It's one of the reasons that it is fair to blame, in some sense, the president's rhetoric. Let's not
stop. Okay. So it's fair in some sense. What sense, Podhoretz? The president's rhetoric. J-Pod. More like J-Moron. In some sense, it's okay. Let me ask you, J-Pod, have you guys over commentary written much about the repeated references to the president and Hitler? I would think that would offend you. Does that offend you? On cable news channels? Let's go to Steve Ratner. Go ahead.
Who I think caused this. I think when you have rhetoric of the kind of rhetoric we've had from this guy over and over again.
This is a president who's called the media the enemy of the people. And right now...
So the president calls the media the enemy of the people. And there are 10 bombs. I don't know if they're fake bombs, real bombs, whatever they are, but they are obviously terrorism threats as far as I'm concerned. And that, you see, is what triggers everything. I remember when Gabby Giffords was shot and the federal judge was murdered. I remember that assassination attempt on her. And it turns out the guy was a psycho. And I remember how they tried to blame Sarah Palin. Quite frankly, they tried to blame me and a few others. Nothing to do with any of this. We have these mass, horrific killings of kids in elementary schools, and there's the media. And then you call us the enemy of the people? Of course we're not the enemy of the people. Well, what the hell are you, really? What are you? What are you doing tonight? What did you do this morning? What did you do yesterday? It's appalling. Go ahead.
For whatever reason, the media is a part of this and is being treated as an enemy.
If he's going to act like this is just a TV show, then he will be complicit in what follows.
Oh, so he is complicit in what follows. What a disgraceful fool. Really, to get FaceTime on MSNBC. They'll do anything. What a disgrace. What a disgraceful group of clowns. Here we have this going on in the country, and it's Trump and Trump. They're obsessed. Mika and Joe and Podhoretz and Ratner and Heilman. They're just obsessed with Trump. Incredible. Go ahead.
They look for leadership, and they find hate.
Given the fact that the president has seemed for 2 years not interested in trying to detoxify the environment, but rather pour gasoline on the fire at every opportunity.
It's no longer okay to say nothing, to not answer questions, to not speak out.
Shut up, you idiot. The hell do you think it's no longer okay to say nothing, to answer questions, to not speak out. So Trump is guilty, ladies and gentlemen. He's an accomplice. He's aiding and abetting some domestic terrorist. Isn't that incredible? MSNBC. Now, MSNBC, which has a high tolerance for vile, outrageous, poisonous language, where the president's called a racist, where he's compared to Hitler, where he's compared to Stalin. NBC, MSNBC, they just gave the boot to Megyn Kelly. And they claim it's because of her reference to blackface. She didn't make a racial attack on anybody. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying she didn't. It's not like she's Joy Reid, smash-mouthing gays, smash-mouthing other people and so forth, who, by the way, keeps her job over there at MSNBC. It's not like she made the most vile anti-Semitic comments, like Al Sharpton, one of their weekend hosts. No. And she apologized. She all but cried. She was tearing over and apologized, right? But they're pushing her out the door. They're pushing her out the door because they don't want her anymore. And they're using this to push her out the door. This is NBC, which had a high tolerance level for Matt Lauer. Now, I'm not a special pleader for anybody. I'm just making the point what a disgusting joke this corporation is. NBC, MSNBC, Comcast, the whole damn bunch of them. But to have these people sit there right in the middle when the FBI and the Counterterrorism Task Force and the others are trying to figure out who did what and so forth, it's Trump. No mention whatsoever that Trump's family has received threats. No mention whatsoever that Republican senators have received threats. No mention whatsoever that Steve Scalise was shot down in the middle of a baseball field. And there are other examples. None whatsoever. They had a high tolerance level for the violence of Antifa. High tolerance level for the violence of Black Lives Matter. Oh, yeah. And by the way, in the 60s and 70s, they had a high tolerance level for the SDS and the Weather Underground. That's right, I said it. But now, I have to ask you, the American people, isn't this why you despise the media? He calls us the enemy of the people, but the people think you're the enemy. Not because the president says it, but because of what you say, Mika and Podhoretz and Ratner and Del Percio and Heilemann. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.